Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Let's jump into it.
Well, we have a lot of topics to get into today, as usual. And to start it off, the Rockets, they haven't had a ton of free agency moves this offseason. They let go of Ariza on a 1 year, $15.3 million deal to Phoenix, and then recently let go of Luke Bamute to the Clippers on a 1 year, $4.3 million deal. And they signed Michael Carter Williams, and even though he was a former Rookie of the Year, he hasn't been able to play in more than 54 games the last three seasons, and it's even though the Rockets, they have Chris Paul for a long-term 4 year deal, but it just seems as though losing a really essential 3-and-D guy like Trevor Ariza, who even though he can't create his own shot, is the 3-and-D type of guy that the Rockets need to use in their system. And then Luke Bamute, even though he suffered the shoulder injury, he was just perfect for their switch everything type of defense and had their best defensive rating, the entire season on that team. So with the proposal that they'll probably go after Carmelo, and they're really adamant about that once the Thunder buy him out. What do you think about their kind of it really hasn't been an eventful offseason for them, and they've lost some key defensive pieces.
I think it has been an active hunt for players. You just said they had to sign back Chris Paul. They had to. There was no other choice for them to be successful and then try to beat a Warriors team or a young Lakers team that's headed by LeBron James. Now you go get you bring back Clint Capella, who was just a hot commodity in the center position, the big man position, who could run the pick and roll and play a defensive, be a good future, defensive mind center. So you go get those, you bring those guys back. You let go Trevor Ariza, whose shooting percentage from the 3-point line was mediocre. You let him go to a Suns team that desperately needs some spark at a 3-point position. And you bring in Carter, I think is a decent player to come off the bench. And then I think they have so much confidence in D'Anthony Melton. I think they have so much. He's showing that he can be a player. He can come off the bench and make points. 17, went 17 one game. He's pretty good from 3-point line, going 3 for 5. Then one game he went for 25 points. I think they like their lineup enough, and the young guys they brought in enough, especially D'Anthony Melton. I like him too. He's been showing that he can be a good player. So I don't think you go after Carmelo Anthony, who could be actually a good role player who can fit into their system with the 3-point line, and for him to shoot the spot up and be isolated to you. I don't think they had to do much, to be honest. They had to bring back Chris Paul, which is a vital asset to the team, and we saw that in the before the finals. But you didn't have to do much. You already have a team set. You already have identity with the guys that you set. 3-pointers, isolation, get back, try to play defense. That's their IQ. But I like what they did. They didn't get cute. They just brought back the right players to just push forward to try to go back to the finals.
Did they really bring back the right players? Because Luke Bamute, I think he was pretty essential for their switch everything defense. And
it's
as much
piece.
and I understand that. But Trevor Ariza, like if you think about it, he at points did give Durant fits in that series. And he was able, his length and his experience was valuable. But with the Capella thing we were talking about, look, Capella isn't extremely happy right now with, he wants a $100 million deal, and they're probably going to give him a $60 million. They're offering a $60 million deal for probably for next offseason. What if that's a 1-year situation where you could possibly lose, if they lose if there's a possibility that Clint Capella is not happy with the Rockets and they could lose him next offseason, I mean, to me, that would be extremely an extremely big loss. I mean, the Rockets still to me are that, like you said, they're still in the top tier of the West. They're still the second best team in the West. And I'm not saying that has changed. I'm just wondering if losing key defensive players, since they try to not just be an offensive minded team, but also a defensive minded team. I'm just wondering if that's something that maybe they may be missing. Because when you don't have a guy like
oh,
can you hear me? I was just monologuing.
No, you're good. I just saw that it was on mute because I cut in. I was like, okay, the best defender was out majority of the
Okay, go
season,
ahead.
so I think he's a piece that can be replaced. I think they run more zone than they do man. I think they work inside, crash down, and let Capella be that defensive presence in the court, just like Wilt Chamberlain type feel, or like a Joel Embiid. So make them the plays that you have, ask more from them on the defensive side because they don't care about playing defense. It's a shoot game. It's who can shoot the most and can make it. And they saw that when they missed, like, was 20, 21 consecutive
27.
3-pointers. 27. That's even worse. So they don't care about the defense. They always care about the offensive side. So they brought back the pieces. So I think it's the pieces that they let go with Trevor Reeves. I know he gave him fits at times.
Yeah, at times. I mean,
That's
obviously he's not going to be able. Nobody can really slow down Kevin Durant. So
not at all. But I mean, I think they did it. I think they didn't get cute, and I'm glad they didn't get cute because cute is not their MO.
right.
They're 3-point shooters. Offense is their MO. They got the players that they need to do that.
And if they need to go after somebody, they will. Like Daryl Morey said, look, they're gonna the best team that we need to have is the team April 15th that's heading to the playoffs. Like that's when we need to be at our best. And if it's a sign and trade, we'll do that. But Daryl Morey is extremely aggressive. He's one of the best GMs in the league, and I definitely think that they'll make the necessary moves when it gets to that point. Were there any other thoughts you had about the Rockets or?
Oh yeah, they're good. They'll go back to the
Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
This past week, I think a couple of days ago, at a Board of Governors meeting, Adam Silver talked about kind of the reoccurring thing about the Warriors having an unbridled amount of dominance, and that them winning their third championship in the last 4 years may seem unfair, but one of the things he said, quote, "As I've said before, we're not trying to create some sort of forced parity. What we really focused on is parity of opportunity. There are changes that we can make to the system, and I think we will create a more competitive balance and a more equality of opportunity. In the discussion in the room, people weren't coming in necessarily complaining, but I think as good business people do, they are looking out to the future and saying how we can improve things," end quote. So, the parity of opportunity thing he's saying, that's kind of been the thing he's addressing, and the fact that the maybe reseeding the playoffs from 1 to 16 could be a possibility. And he says it does have a good percentage of appeal, but also that the travel issues could really, make that a scenario that isn't as good for a lot of teams. So with the sentiment that maybe there is an imbalance in the league, especially, with LeBron's move to the West and the West having a lot of power, even though the East still has really good teams. Do you see that imbalance, or do you think there are ways to improve this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the imbalance. If you look at both sides, it's the top 8. Both were over 40 games, right? And I think the next guy in line, the Detroit in the East, was 39, and the next guy in line for the West was 46. So it's not off balance. I think it's one specific team that's off balance. And that team could have lost if they had Chris Paul on the Houston Rockets. So I don't think it's off balance per se. I just think it's the one team, or the shift of the game is kind of going towards of shooting. If you don't have the shooting qualities that the game needs now, then you're going to fall behind. I think the East, in that perspective, it's kind of lopsided because all the shooters, if you think about it, all the shooters are in the West. All the good shooters are in the West. So it's I think in that retrospect.
Well, Philly has good shooters.
Who's that?
I mean, Philadelphia has good shooters, but I mean, at times they really were like just like with Bellinelli, Ilyasova, Redick. For like, what would happen is Simmons would create and he would just penetrate out to those guys in the perimeter, and they would be extremely lethal. Or they would work in the post with Embiid, but most of the time it would be Simmons penetrating, and then you have an array of shooters. And I think at one point they were about as good of a perimeter shooting team in the league. Even though you are right, Golden State and Houston and a ton of other teams, they do focus more on perimeter shooting than the East does.
Yeah, I think talent-wise it's matched up well, but just how the game is shifting to just the shooting qualities of teams, I think the West has upside more than the East. That's the only, in my opinion,
for sure.
That's the only difference from the two.
So, in terms of the seeding 1 through 16, do you ever see that being a good idea, or do you think at one point the schedule is so grueling, 82 games, that probably should get cut down. So I think about 70, but it probably won't happen. I don't know what your thoughts on that is. Do you agree?
I don't think so. I think it probably stay at 82.
Yeah. But with the seeding, probably it may have been in March, but I think we talked about seeding and if we thought that was a good idea. Like, do you think that will gain traction, or just like Adam Silver said, the travel issues could be a deterrent for that?
Probably so. And I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think now, like, the game is changing and shifting. Now, who's the best GM? Who can release cap room to get the best players? I mean, it's fair. If you made bad decisions with draft picks or trading for people and you don't have enough money to get the best players, whose fault is that? I think the game is fine. Well, to a certain extent, the game is fine where it's shifting to. So who's the best GM? Who's the best owner? Who has enough money to go get these players? The Warriors do right now. Houston Rockets got enough money. LA Lakers got enough money. So it's who's the best GM? I think it's fair. Whatever decision you made at an organization, you have to find a way to be successful. I think that's fair. Everybody has the same opportunities to be successful in the league. You just have to find the right way to do it in the parameters of what you have as an organization. So I think if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you think of teams that have gotten marquee superstars, some of the teams haven't really, quote unquote, deserved them. Like, if you think about the Lakers, the last 5 years, what have they done to actually show that they deserve a superstar? Because, they haven't made the playoffs, but the allure of LA, Magic Johnson being there, the cap space, and just being an iconic franchise, they get landed with the best player in the world.
Right.
And a couple of years ago, even the cap spike implications and just maybe the league would have did everything in their power, has done everything in their power over these last 10 to 15 years to prevent what happened with Kevin Durant going to Golden State happening. They never wanted that to happen. Like, they never wanted that much talent to be on one team. Right. But the reason, the reason Golden State really deserved that is because of the organizational consistency that they built. Like, if there's a team that deserved a superstar, a marquee free agent, it was Golden State, because of the culture and the winning and the success, in my opinion, the success that they built.
Deserving. So Golden State Warriors deserve to get Kevin Durant. What about the deal that would have sent Chris Paul to the Lakers?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
if you look at it with LeBron James on the Lakers, it's a resemblance of.
I'm not saying that the Lakers don't deserve LeBron. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if we got like really picky in terms of, okay, like what teams are actually acquiring these marquee free agents, like you could make that case.
I I don't think it's no difference because the Lakers with LeBron is just like Kobe with the team that he had before he retired. It's the same resemblance of the same team. So when you talk about a team being deserving, a team that's been deserving is the LA Clippers, who's been, or the Philadelphia, the 76ers. They deserve a big-time marquee player. They put in the work since Allen Iverson left, and they're building a team. I think the Celtics deserve a marquee player. They got him with Kyrie Irving. But I don't.
Yeah, but they built organizational consistency. The Celtics have built that. They have one of the best GMs in Danny Ainge, who's, I mean, extremely aggressive in pursuits.
But what about everybody else, though? Everybody else deserves it, too. I think they put the groundwork in. Look at the Kings. When they fall from having Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Doug Christie, all those guys being, Lottie Divac, that team, and now you're –
yeah, but the thing about it, Cleveland probably didn't really deserve LeBron because when he left, when he came back.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. What I'm talking about is the organizational consistency and the player development. Like, has Dan Gilbert really developed players to the degree that LeBron could say, "Oh yeah, like these guys are actually going to even flourish if I leave again." Like that's really what I'm saying. I'm not saying that these teams they're undeserving. I'm just saying if we're looking at the organizational consistency and what teams fit that bill of okay, yeah, they really earned the right to be hey, we're an alluring target. You should come to us. I'm just saying that's, to me, that's the criteria. If we look at it from that aspect.
I agree. Because OKC deserves Paul George.
Because they built organization.
Yeah. Okay. I agree now. I'm sorry. I didn't understand it.
Yeah. But in terms of all this, it just seems as though it's really cyclical, because every dynasty eventually is going to end at one point. And I don't know, when Golden State's dynasty will end out. But do you think it will be on their terms or on terms of they're just breaking up and one player wants to get a max contract and it doesn't work out and they eventually just have to break apart?
I think the ball is definitely in their court, no pun intended.
Yeah.
To be honest, because those guys we've seen them take pay cuts, Kevin Durant, and I think they make the right decisions to get them in a position where they can get players and have the same mindset. Okay, we're trying to win championships. And I think they signed, I hate to say it, but I think Klay Thompson signed. I do agree with Andrea, what you say. Klay's not going anywhere. You also chimed in as well. They signed back Klay. They signed back Draymond Green. They figure a way out to keep Kevin Durant another two to 3 years after his contract is over. They let go Cousins. They don't really need him. They bring in some young guys on, rookie contracts. They have Steph Curry for the next 5 or 6 years. So their dynasty will not end until somebody says, you know what, we're doing too much, guys. I think one of us should choose to lead the team.
Yeah, exactly.
So they have all the upside. It's so crazy how they built that team before Steph Curry even got on this with Mark Cuban. Man, he deserves so much credit for that team before Kerr became the head coach. He actually built that franchise and that team up together, man, to be honest. But he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. But to answer your question, they won't give up each other's company until one day they're like, okay, let's see if I bet I can beat you on another team. I bet you won't. All right, I'm gonna go to the Kings.
Exactly.
They have all the upside.
What team have you heard? I'm just wondering. I've heard this. What team have you heard that if Kevin Durant left Golden State, he would go to? I'm wondering if you've heard the same thing.
That's interesting. I'm not sure.
The Knicks.
The Knicks.
Yeah, and the thing that I've heard is that if he really wanted to rebrand his image and bring back a storied like the Mecca, bring the Mecca of basketball as it once was called back, and bring that team back to relevance or even get it close to a championship, many people have said it could be the Knicks. His client, Rich Kleiman, is from New York. He knows Scott Perry pretty well. it's interesting because he seems like the type of player who's always after another journey and another mission. Mm-hmm. But the organizational, like where the organization is now, and Kristaps Porzingis not being 100% healthy, mm-hmm. I'm not sure about that. But I wouldn't be shocked if it did happen. I don't know what your thoughts on it.
I don't like that move. I think the best move, because if that was the case, he would have left Golden State after this year. If that was the case, he was looking for a journey, because they have the opportunity to go, and Kyrie could have followed suit. It could him, Kyrie, and Porzingis, and possibly Jimmy Butler. So that I think that could happen. But if that would have happened, he would have left. He would have never signed back with Golden State. I think he's comfortable, and I think he likes.
So you think this is the team he's going to end out with?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he'll go to another team.
I think he goes to the Lakers.
Interesting.
I think he likes LA. He likes Magic Johnson. I think him and LeBron James has a decent relationship for him.
That'd be crazy. Yeah. That'd be crazy. LeBron and KD.
I think LeBron tried to recruit him before he signed too. Yeah. I think those stories were correct.
If you could give a timetable, like the next 2 years, the next 3 years, I know it's tough to estimate, but if you had to give like a guess.
I think it's after the second year. This year they won't win the NBA Finals.
Right.
The Golden State Warriors, I believe they don't. But the next year, the following year, 2000.
But you don't think Golden State will win this year?
I don't think they'll win it this year. I think they'll have an Achilles heel. They'll be get shot in the Achilles. But I think he doesn't sign back. I don't think he signs back with the Golden State, and I think he goes to the Lakers. Or the Knicks possibly may be an option if Kyrie and then Jimmy Butler goes. He was like, okay, let's see if I can be the best player with all these stars on this team. It's up in there because both teams have enough money to do so. Yeah,
exactly.
So, man.
But as we've been talking about, it seems like the right time to go into it. But since we're talking about the East, LeBron no longer being in there, kind of having a stranglehold on the conference for 8 straight years, and now him no longer being there, it opens the door for more teams to have an opportunity to get to the finals and have a chance at championship relevance. So, I mean, to me, the top tier seems like Boston, Philly, Indiana, Toronto, Milwaukee, Washington, like kind of that 6. But in terms of who you think is the clear front runner, who would you kind of give the edge to?
It has to be the Boston Celtics, man. Hands down. Just imagine if every player is completely healthy on that basketball team. Completely. No injuries playing. Well, they went 52, 55. Yeah. 55 and 27 without Kyrie Irving, finishing off. They went on a major win streak without him, without Hayward. Marcus Smart was out with a hand injury. So you had Jason Tatum, Rozier, and Jaylen Brown heading those guys. So just imagine everybody healthy. They have to be the front runner. You have 2 big stars coming back. And then Philadelphia has to be number 2 because they went 52 and 30 with all their players healthy. Joel Embiid was out for a little bit. That was in the playoffs, but the regular season 52 and 30. I don't have complete faith in Ben Simmons as a shooter and as a all-around basketball player.
That series with Boston just really showed me what Boston can expose with Ben Simmons. And they're gonna be seeing them a lot down the year, like the next 3 to 5 years. However, Boston and Philly are gonna be playing in a lot of playoff series. But
I believe so. If everybody stays together.
Yeah, if everybody stays healthy, yeah. But in terms of just the fact that Miami, they didn't expose the fact that Ben Simmons can't create offense outside of the paint. Mm-hmm. Boston was able to do that. Right. And it's definitely to the credit of Brad Stevens being, just a genius head coach. But in terms of the fact, like Boston has a ton of bodies they can throw at him, and it seemed like they were content with Joel Embiid getting his, but Ben Simmons not. They're like, we'll live with Embiid, getting his 22 and 15. But if Ben Simmons, if we can contain him, like, we're good.
Yeah, because Ben Simmons is big body slasher who can leave fast breaks and finish them.
Yeah, definitely.
When you have Joel Embiid slowing the game down, posting up or shooting a 3-pointer, then
it slows down their offense.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in their favor. We're gonna let you, just like when Shaq, Kobe, Rick Fox, and those guys were together. They gave Shaq. Well, it was a different time back then. I can't even
Shaq was the most. You can't. No team would want to live with that because he was the most physically unstoppable player of that generation, and the gap between him being the best player and the second and whoever was the second best player, it was so wide at that point. Like you just had no answer for Shaq. Even in the 2004 finals with them in the Pistons, Shaq still got his, but they were able to neutralize everybody else.
Yeah. I think it's the same. Well, I guess you can I guess you can't compare both of those teams, but I think Ben Simmons, who's a facilitator first, if he finds people, if you de-escalate his drive and his momentum, then you're gonna kill the momentum pretty much, because he's the point guard. He's the guy who's leading the hooray, So I think Boston Celtics, especially Jason Tatum, he's an all-around great basketball player. He has such a bright future because first, I like him as a defensive player than anything. And I like how, tough he is. He dunked on LeBron James. That's so small feet. You dunked on a king basketball player in high pursuit. He saw you.
It's not like he caught him off guard. It's like he was like, I'm prepared to block this, and he didn't. Like, Tatum just stuffed.
Gave him a little bump afterwards. Yeah. Hunky.
And this is the thing. When you do that, when you dunk on the best player in the world, you have the right to do that.
Yeah.
Like you have the right to do whatever you want in that moment.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. I would have stared him down until the timeout.
Yeah.
I've been talking to him, getting in his head. It's kind of hard to give LeBron James head, but if you dunk on him and you're a young pup,
yeah. And LeBron had extreme respect for him. He's like, that guy is special. Like even after the win, like that guy is going to be special for a long time.
Yeah, he's going to be. We're going to see how everything gels when everybody comes back, though. That's the biggest.
That's the thing with Boston. The only thing I'm concerned about is how do you keep everyone happy?
Yeah,
like that's the only thing, because Tatum and Brown, they had more responsibilities than expected, and Terry Rozier was a capable starting guard, and all of those aspects. All of those guys are going to have more diminished roles, and how they accept that and adjust to that is really going to be, I think, pivotal for what Boston, for the potential Boston can have.
Yeah, and what would that starting lineup be like? What would your starting lineup be? I know that's kind of I'm putting you on the spot.
It would be Kyrie,
of course.
Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. No. Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, Al Horford.
That's a pretty good lineup.
I think that's a really good lineup.
Pretty good lineup, especially with
Is that what you'd have it as?
Most definitely.
Okay.
But the only thing I have with that, if Gordon Hayward's not completely healthy, you have to move.
Bring him off the bench.
No, and move Kyrie to shooting guard and put Terry Rozier at point guard. I like that.
That's interesting. I like that backcourt.
Yeah, I do too. But just if he's completely healthy, and then if Kyrie's completely healthy, so you have injuries, you have just gelling together. It's just expectations. They have a three-headed monster on their plate right now, and they got to figure out how to down that and eat it and continue to go on. And it starts with Brad Stevens.
Yeah,
it starts with the head coach. You got to figure out a way to get these guys together, get that chemistry going. See if these guys are fully healthy. I don't expect them to start. I don't expect them to play the full preseason, to be honest.
Right.
Especially Hayward. I would definitely send him out and just work him in, just a little bit at a time, because you don't want to bring him back too soon and it happens again. It's a freak accident, but sheesh.
Yeah, definitely. I'm assuming opening night is going to be Philly Boston, though, right?
It has to be a hope.
It kind of has to.
It has to.
It's like, what other matchup would you have? Like Milwaukee was.
Yeah, it's like the East. Those are the two best teams in the East.
It's like for every marquee like holiday or just big event, whether Martin Luther King. It just seems like those are the two teams in the East you'd have.
Philadelphia and the Celtics. It has to be. It has to be. Nobody else. I'm not gonna watch it. Let them battle it out. Who's the best team in the East? We're gonna find out.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of there being a dark horse team, outside of those two, we know with Giannis and his potential and them having Mike Budenholzer, them taking Boston to 7 games was really impressive. And the duo of him and Chris Middleton, like they had a really good series. Is there one team outside of the top tier that you could see as a dark horse in the East?
That's interesting. You know what? That will you put me on the spot, brother. Let me.
I think the Pacers.
The Pacers? I don't like the Pacers. I don't like the Pacers because you lose one of your best defensemen in Lance Stevenson. I know Oladipo had an incredible season.
Yeah.
But Lance Stevenson.
You don't think they're going to take the next step?
What's that?
So you don't think they're going to take the next step? You think they're going to kind of regress?
I hope it's Milwaukee. Yeah, I think so. I hope it's Milwaukee. If Giannis can continuously shoot the big three, he will be.
That's the only hole in his game.
Yes. Everything else is solid. But if he can just continue to grow and be able to shoot the big three, those guys will be a force to reckon with because he's right now top 10 best player, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Maybe even 5. I mean, in terms of a talent,
Nah, there's too many great players. That will be a list for the ages, top 5 right now. Because it's LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, top 5.
Anthony Davis is in there. He's got to be in there.
He's 6. He's 6. I'm just going on.
He's got to be in there.
He's 6. He's itching, but he's 6.
I wouldn't have Kyrie in the top 5. He's definitely top 10, but I would have Davis in the top 5, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Kyrie has to be a top 5. Top 5.
Why are you acting like you won the Grammys, man? Why are you acting like that?
But no, that's a good top 5, man. Anthony Davis without Kyrie, I mean, it's still good.
Yeah, definitely. But it just shows how much talent we. In terms of teams, we can argue about that. But in terms of players, man, like it's stacked on both conferences.
Yeah, and well, you just pretty much answer your own question. The question that you asked me, it's just a shooting qualities, man.
Yeah. Trae Young, in starting the summer league, kind of struggled. In Utah, was I think was shooting, was it 27% from the 3 or maybe even lower?
It was pretty low.
Oh, it may have been 12%. Yeah, okay. But he was shooting better inside of the arc. And in terms of what he did in college, leading the nation in scoring and assists, it's been kind of more of playmaking that he's relied on in the summer league, and the fact that, to me, he kind of has a feast or famine type of game. Deep threes off of, off the dribble. Mm-hmm. Tough finishes because of his size, only being 6'2", and he's going to have to, finish over bigger defenders all of the time. Has there kind of been anything eye-opening about his struggles, or do you just kind of expect it since, because of his size and the fact that he does rely on, perimeter shooting a lot?
I don't think it has anything to do with his size, to be honest. I think it's more so of him being a spotty shooter like Steph. And some nights Steph's going to have horrible nights, and he's going to pick it back up. And I think the game he played against the Bulls kind of showed him what the future could be like for him, going for 7 from 13 from the 3-point line and showing some incredible vision. I think that's the one I'm most impressed by, that he can facilitate early and often, and being able to finish at the rim is a plus. But if he could get this 3-point shot going, which is his MO, it's his game, just like Steph, just like all the 3-point shooters in the league, he can be a force to be reckoned with. He can bring something great to the Hawks. And I expected him to struggle because that's, like I said, that's his MO. He just got to find his way. He likes to take deep three shots, like you said, off the dribble, off pick and roll. Somebody set him a pick. He shoots it from, God knows, just from the nosebleeds.
One of them he shot like at the heel of the logo.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was
just his range.
him. That's it. That's his game, and that's why I think they'll live and die with that. I think the Hawks will. They need a guy who's going to take those risks and take those shots, because since they went on that big streak with winning all those games when they had Jeff Teague and Al Horford, all those guys, and it hasn't been the same. So they need a guy who could come in and make a spark.
Yeah.
Right, early and often. I think the struggle of his woes, it'll get better for him. He just has to find his way and find his inky dinky.
I mean, and I think the fact that he's playing for a really bad team is actually a good thing for him, because
I'm sorry.
I know. It seems like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah,
he's really playing for a bad team. But think about it. They're going to be able to ease him in more in terms of experimenting what he can do good and what he can't. Like, there's not going to be that like that immediate pressure of like, okay, you really have to deliver as of now. Like there can't be any like room for growth or room for progress. So what I'm really trying to say is I don't think he's going to have as much pressure on that team, even though he is going to have the spotlight on him because of what he did in college. I do think being on that team, there's not going to be like this immediate sense of, okay, you really have to deliver, or, your immediate status.
Immediate status. That's yeah. Immediate status. Immediate status. Immediate status.
Hello?
Yes. Now
okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, but I was just talking about with Trae Young in Atlanta. Do you think him playing for a team that's not as competitive, do you think that will take away a little bit of the pressure, or that it's still going to kind of be, there?
Oh, it takes a bunch of pressure off, because he's not even the starting lineup. He won't.
Yeah.
I think Dennis Schroeder.
Dennis Schroeder.
Schroeder, yeah. I think he's earned his spot. He's been in his shoes before, having to come off the bench, and now he's in the starting line. I don't think they give him that much responsibility just yet. I think he comes off the bench and he shoots. I think that's what they got him for. They need a shooter. They need a streaky shooter, and I think that's what they dropped him for. And then once he kind of morphed his game into being an all-around player like Steph Curry, because Steph Curry can drop dimes, he can find players, he can finish it at the rim and dribble excellently well. So if he gets to that point where he can be like Steph or be better than Steph, then he'll get in the starting lineup, and then the spotlight and the expectations will come. But right now, they just want him to just jump in and shoot. Just shoot. Just keep shooting. Just keep shooting.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely does seem that way in terms of the position he's at. Transitioning to
58. Jeez, man. Sorry, I just looked at the record.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Transitioning to the NFL, in terms of Antonio Brown, he's deemed by most the best wide receiver in the league. And there is this trifecta of, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., and him. And, to me, it seems like they all bring something different to the table. Like Julio, he's physically imposing. Odell, he can make these like circus catches. But Antonio Brown, his consistency of production has just been, eye-popping. It really is one of those things where his just being an amazing route runner, the fluidity that he has, and in terms of his big play ability, it really does seem like he's the best wide receiver in the league. In terms of those three and what Antonio Brown brings to the table, whether it be the fact that, because some say, look, Odell doesn't have the quarterback and running back that Antonio has, so he doesn't have the same leeway, and he doesn't get that the man coverage and easy catches that Antonio Brown could get. But how do you see it?
I think what separates Antonio Brown and all these, first off, all these guys are great wide receivers and running routes to the T. I think Anthony Brown quickness was. And his route running all combined, and his stature all combined, allows him to make defenders have question marks like Sims on the top of their heads. Because he's so quick, he's so versatile, he can be in the slot, he can be outside. I'm not saying all these guys can, but his route running and his precision of knowing what the defense is in makes him a great value, and the numbers don't lie. He's been leading the league in numbers for the past 3 to 4 years. He's been durable. That's what makes him better as well.
Yeah.
Because
the best ability is availability.
Yeah. I like that. I'm gonna take that and put that in the vault. But yeah, it's durability. And I understand that you have a great running back in Le'Veon Bell, but the Atlanta Hawks rush game is no slouch either.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And with Coleman as well. So I think it's more so of him being durable, him knowing what the defense are doing, and what a great offensive coordinator, head coach in Tomlin. So it's all about preparation, how you're going to get your wide receiver open. I think I used to say Julio, but now I see it's Antonio Brown, hands down. No doubt about it.
So you see the kind of the complaints about, Odell doesn't have as good of a quarterback or a running game. You don't really see it that way. Do you kind of see that as, look, like you said with Julio, he has a great running game. These players do have abilities to just accentuate what an offense can do. Because to me, Odell really is the Giants' offense. In 2016 they were 11-5. The next year, 3-13 when he leaves out early. So do you think with these, like who do you think in terms of who is most vital to their offense? Like if he wasn't there, the team would be in a dire situation.
Oh, most definitely Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah,
because you look at the Steelers, they have enough weapons with Juju, Marcus Wheaton, I forgot the rest of these guys. They have enough wide receiver core. You look at the Atlanta Falcons, you have Sanu, you have Gabriel. They just got the guy from Alabama. His name escapes my mind. Oh, my gosh. I'm terrible at this.
Completely forgot his name, too.
It just almost came back. Whatever. The guy from Alabama, Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley, yeah.
Yeah. So they have enough weapons. Now, if you take away OBJ, it's kind of up in the air. I know Shepard is a decent wide receiver. Ingram, the tight end they got last year in the draft, he had a slow start. But as you can see, without Odell Beckham Jr. in a run game, it's kind of hard to move your offense. And Eli Manning is washed up.
Yeah.
So I think Odell Beckham Jr. is the most vital, but the best wide receiver out of this core has to be Antonio Brown with with the numbers and just him being you can't snub him. He has to be the greatest. He has to be the best wide receiver.
Wide receiver right now. Yeah, it definitely seems that way. Just for the production level is just staggering, and to me, like that's what really stands out of the three of them. Our last topic for today, transitioning to soccer, Cristiano Ronaldo made a move to Juventus. I think 5-year. He's going to be, I think, $30 million a year, and he's making the transfer from Spain to Italy, and had a really illustrious record with Real Madrid. I think 4 Champions League titles, and I think he won 3 Ballon d'Or awards. And what he was able to do there over 9 years, with Real Madrid being one of the richest clubs in the league, and Juventus is the 10th richest, but they're definitely gonna make a leap once they get Ronaldo. And it seems as though one of those things, like Ronaldo, he's 33, didn't have it as many. I think had 26 goals overall. last year. And Juventus, they haven't had a 26 goal scorer ever. So, they'll take that dip, any day of the week, even though it wasn't his best season. But with the transfer and, the type of market implications Ronaldo brings, what are your thoughts on it?
I thought it was interesting. And I think everybody thought it was interesting. And the one point I want to point out is Ryan Giggs, his old teammate, said he insists Ronaldo has moved to Juventus because of none other than Messi. Because he wants to be better than Messi. He wants to be all around better than Messi. And
what if he already is?
No, he's not. This is rival, and Giggs thinks that he moved there because of that. And he said that's a lot of CV on this. It says it's going to be a big challenge for him. He's going to a huge club, and I don't think he should have left. I think he should have stayed. You've been there 9 years?
Yeah.
Why would you want to leave? I mean, you're one of the richest sports icons out there. What are you chasing? It has to be chasing Messi. Has to, especially with the defeat in the World Cup. I think you should have stayed with your team.
That is an interesting part because those two are just the two dynamos like in that sport. And with Real Madrid, they no longer have Ronaldo, and they're gonna need. I don't think they're just gonna build it around Gareth Bale. Like I could see them going after Mbappe or Harry Kane. This question may be obvious, but who's the winner between the Real Madrid and Juventus? Because Juventus, they got arguably the best player in the world, but Real Madrid, they could pair Gareth Bale with a budding star in Mbappe from France, who could be. I mean, what he's been able to accomplish in the World Cup so far has been pretty impressive. Or they could get Harry Kane from England, who was the World Cup leading scorer at one point. Like who benefits from this in the long term?
I think Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Because not only what you just said, them going and matching him with the other player, I think it's more so of we already got 9 years out of you. And some good championships and good, some accolades out of you. You can go now. We have a young star. We're going to get more young stars. We can replace you. You're a great player. But you're a piece. You're a piece to this chess game. We can get more players. Go ahead. We got 9 years out of you. So I look at that perspective from Real Madrid. And then, I don't know. I just think Real Madrid won. And he's 33 years old. He's 33 years old. Okay? I know these guys play for a long time, but that wear and tear on your body, it has to play a role sometime in your career.
Look, he did have a dip in his overall scoring. 26 goals overall. It's not like a typical Ronaldo season. I mean, presently, obviously, Juventus, they got an amazing player. Like that doesn't, that doesn't diminish anything. But I think long term, Real Madrid could be in a good spot. Like it's tough to say now, but like if they could get Mbappe, like that's huge. Like Mbappe is a budding star, and I think this guy at one point could be the best player like in the world.
Yeah. Man, but just him leaving is
it's crazy.
Yeah, I popped on my ESPN. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? You just lost to Uruguay. Uruguay. Yeah. Where are you going? Why?
Yeah.
Ronaldo. Real Madrid. You should have. And his hat trick in the World Series, man, it was amazing. I'll see why he's the highest paid guy in the world. Oh my gosh, 33 years old doing this. Oh, he's LeBron James on the grass.